Today I wanted to discuss dividends. If you don't know what a dividend is, it's basically a sum of money paid regularly, typically annually, by a company to its shareholders. Basically, it's out of its profits. The amount of a dividend really depends on the type of stock you're buying. Some of them have like very high percentage dividends, some have very low percentage dividends. Some of them companies don't have dividends at all. So, for example, Ryanair doesn't have dividends at all. They just invest all their profits back into their company. But there was a few, when I was getting started investing, there was a few trip ups that I ran into when it came to dividends and some very confusing things. And I wanted to create a video to basically help anybody out there, right? So on the left, I have an example of a dividend I got from an individual stock I have and a dividend from an ETF. Now, the dividends for stocks are pretty simple. Usually you can find online if a stock has a dividend, and if it does have a dividend, how much that dividend is. You can even find like the schedule for dividends. So basically, the best thing you can do is just schedule the stock you want to look at and a dividend schedule, or has dividends or dividend percentage, and it'll show you straight away. That's not what this video is going to be about. But here you examine, like, this is Toronto Domination Bank. This is one of the banks that I invest in. I got a dividend of 13 Canadian dollars, and you can see there's a dividend tax that DGiro automatically takes out. Now, a note on the dividend tax: you still have to report this dividend to the revenue. And again, there is some exceptions when there's US stocks, because you can't get double taxation. They have a double taxation treaty, and they have that with some other companies. But this is not what this video is about. This is a really simple dividend, right? I also have a dividend from an ETF that I have. Now, this is a different ETF that I showed in one of my previous videos, but I will go through it. This is, you can also see this is a dividend of $745, right? Now, something about ETFs. ETFs have two type of dividends. You can see here I'm on this iShares course, use the ETF, and then you see the thing in brackets called DIST. This means use of income distributing, right? What distributing means is that it pays out all the dividends. So, for example, if you go into your your orders or your transactions in DGiro, you will see a dividend payout like you've seen in the image. You'll see something like this dividend from iShares S&P whatever ETF, and you actually see it in your account. Now, there's another type of ETF that I've actually switched to, and it's accumulating ETF reinvests the income that I would pay out of an ETF back into the fund. So the investor automatically gets the benefits of compounding interest, and you don't have to worry about reinvesting that into the ETF later. Basically, it's just all your returns are basically automatically, all of the dividends that would come out are automatically reinvested back into the fund. So here's the main one that I invest in currently. I have switched away from the distributing ETFs for a few reasons. One, I want that accumulating. I don't want to think about it. It's kind of an easy mode for ETFs. You can just kind of go along and it will just build up slowly. The one important thing you can see is that the use of income is accumulating. So I won't, on my DGiro dashboard, I won't actually see any ETF payouts for this stock. They basically just happens behind the scenes without me knowing, which is great because you don't have to think about it. The other advantage of this is accumulating ETFs have a lot of tax advantages in most companies because it doesn't count as a payment. It's not a payment out. Like in the screenshot that I showed you earlier, you can see that for this dividend, there's a dividend tax. Because this is not a payout, you'll actually never get taxed on that income. Now, I need to preface this. This doesn't mean we don't have to report it. Now, a lot of countries are different. Even the laws in Ireland are a bit vague on this, but the main reason why I use this is so I don't have to think about the reinvesting my dividend returns. It basically just automatically gets built into, then basically just buys more ETFs, or you get more value as you're paid out, which is great. I think this is one of the advantages of using accumulating ETFs. And I would advise, if your country has tax advantages relating to accumulating ETFs, I would advise switching to accumulated ETF. Again, this is the one that I use. It's a CSSPX ETF. This is the one I showed in previous videos. But they're the kind of differences between a basically basic stock ETF, like the one I showed you at the bank, a distributed ETF, and an accumulating ETF. It's kind of confusing, and it's one of the things that tripped me up before. I was investing quite a lot of money into a distributing ETF before I found out what an accumulating ETF was. And once I found out what an accumulating ETF was and the tax advantages that I have, and how I don't have to think about reinvesting the dividends. I switched most of my ETFs to that. That won't work for everybody. It just depends on what you're doing. Again, I hope that has cleared up some of the confusion around ETFs and dividends. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Also, if you have any suggestions, please let me know. Until next time, bye.